Kusong Pulau, welcome to Hello from Bhutan. I'm Namgizam. It's been a while since you've heard from me, I know, but I'm back. I have a new series focusing on everything queer in Bhutan. The first 3 episodes were originally filmed for Queer Talks Bhutan. This is the first episode featuring Tenzin Yoezer, a young gay college student. Kusongpo and welcome to Queer Talks Bhutan. I am your host Namgizam. Today with me in conversation is a really bright young student who is so inspiring and is here to share his story. His name is Tenzin Yoezer. He is a second year student at the College of Science and Technology. Tenzin, it's so nice to meet you. And I came across your story, a short bit of it, on Humans of Thimphu. Yes. And then we were thinking, we must talk to Tenzin, especially on Queer Talks, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey, especially for those people who haven't seen your story in Humans of Thimphu and who are seeing you for the first time today.
Okay. As you have introduced me, I'm Tenzin Yoezer, currently studying Bachelor's of Information Technology at CST. Well, I would like to take you on an emotional journey in my story, and I would like to tear a page from my diary and give it to you. So, my life was pretty amazing at first. Everything was good. My dad and mom had their business of their own. Dad had his business and my mom had her business. My mom was an inspirational and one of the most important figures in my family because everything the family faced through, she was usually the rock of the family. She always did everything. She was such a inspiring mom as well as a daughter because she was able to take both her parents and both my grandparents, maternal and paternal, to Dojiten, which was really inspiring. She did everything, but for a couple of years you could see that she wasn't actually happy with us. She had this amazing family. She was doing good in business. She was excellent, but she wasn't happy. Slowly, she started to go on religious trips. She started doing the 6 months retreat, then the 1 year. And I think she started these religious trips when I was 10, and when I was 12, I remember she was packing her things and she sat me down and she looked me in the eyes and she told me, okay, Yoezer, things are going to be different now. I don't want to, this is not me intentionally leaving you, but I have a greater purpose to fulfill, and this is what I am really passionate about. And she told me to be strong, and it was like she foretold that my life was going to be hard now. Mm-hmm. And she also mentioned the fact that dad could remarry, and then you might have to be more accepting of the future. So she taught me how to be brave in life and follow your purpose, be true to yourself. Second, if you look at dad, okay. Dad and I, we weren't quite, two beans in a pod, but then we did talk a lot after mom went away. It was quite difficult for us to blend in. But slowly, yes, dad did remarry. And you know how difficult it is for the acceptance from both the families when you marry the second time of another stepmom coming into the family. Mm-hmm. We tried our best to make sure that we were happy, but we were just weren't. My dad didn't get the acceptance that he needed from both of the families. They often ended up in quarrels, and I think my dad was too hurt by then, so he decided I should be on my own after college. He told me I should, be by myself, and he needed a life of his own, which I perfectly understand. And so now I'm in the care of my uncle and my aunt who fully support me. Actually, before coming to this interview yesterday, I thought of preparing and getting my thoughts aligned, but it was quite difficult because I haven't told them that I came for that presentation and this interview. Oh. So yesterday I couldn't prepare until 6 p.m.
Yeah.
and I decided, oh my God, I should tell them this. I shouldn't do these things behind their back. And my uncle, he isn't quite accepting of this, but then he has never treated me like another person. He has always treated me as Yoezer, his nephew, and he has never loved me one bit less. And my aunt, she's such an open-minded person. She said, I had given them hints way before, and I think it was time that now that I had grown and recently turned 20, I think should take things in my charge. I should take charge of things. And Dad taught me that there are no bad guys in life, just people who are trying everything to be happy. And me and Mom and Dad, yes, we are happy, just not together.
No, you're really emotionally mature, to be saying these things, like to have taken it in your stride and to be so mature about it. I don't think many adults, like way older than you, would be able to see the situation the way you do. It's admirable.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm sorry I cut you off. You're going to say something. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think if you look at the part where I came out, well, I also asked myself, when did I think I was gay, or when I thought I liked another guy? Well, it was in pre-primary school. At the concert night, we were all dressed up. We both were dressed up, and we were just on the bed and just talking, and and the kiss happened. Actually, it wasn't sexual in a way or anything. I just remember that he was a really nice person, and he was there for me all the time. And I thought he deserved a kiss, especially on the lips.
You were 6. Wait, how old were you?
I was
about 6.
I think 5.
5.
PP, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time you realized you were attracted to somebody of the same gender, right?
Yeah.
And after that, did you ever think this was something you wanted to talk about with your mom, perhaps, because you seemed to be closer to her?
Well, I think this part of me was quite an infant. I needed time for, to let it grow and to see what it becomes. Or I wanted to be sure that it's not just a phase. And I just wanted to be really sure, so I didn't tell anyone about it. It was quite difficult to tell to someone too, because my mom was religiously inclined, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I know. No, but how did you work through it? Then how did you work through this process? Like you were saying, you were trying to figure out if it was just a phase or if it was really who you are, right?
Yeah.
So how did you work through this? Like, who did you speak to? Who helped you through this process?
Well, actually, it was just, I had given so much time to myself. I was also quite figuring things out during the high school phase. Actually, do you know how people are usually like, I would do anything to go back to, when I was a child or when I was in high school.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. It was hell on earth.
Oh.
It was quite difficult. Well, if you look into the details, what usually happens is I would be often locked in the toilet doors. I would be called names
in school, by your classmates and schoolmates.
Yeah. Actually, I have also supported group of friends, but there were also people who hated me, and they thought, these names, those names I can't even utter because that's really offensive.
Derogatory, yeah.
Those names, they thought it was like a dose of medicine that I needed every day. Like I had this disease that would kill everyone around me, or it would spread, and then they would become something like me that's, which they thought was disgusting. And my high school was really me trying to figure things out, and I told myself, Mom went away, Dad is having a life of his own. Everything around me is falling apart, but I shouldn't be the one who is falling apart. I don't have time for this. I have studies to think about. Then maybe after that I will figure things out. I just kept my mind focused on, even though, there was sexual harassment, the
Gosh.
unsafe, touch.
Right. Was it by boys?
Yeah,
Mostly.
mostly boys.
Okay.
So I think this was quite hard, and when I moved to class 12, I think that was like the peak of everything, a peak of all my storms, all my thoughts. What happened was, it was also an additional academic pressure. I think I like to say that I was academically inclined, and ever since mom left and dad had, a life of his own, I needed to have something that I was proud of myself. I just needed to study, I needed good grades. I was always, motivating myself to do better, and if I didn't, I usually despised myself. I used to hate myself when I got low marks, and I also used to want to be another person because I had this emotional, I think it was the teenage hormones. I was feeling differently. I just couldn't cope up with it, and a lot of people were calling names and the external factors, and I couldn't believe that I would feel so uncomfortable in my own body that I had lived for 17 years. I wanted to be something else, a different person. I just wanted to be normal like anybody else. I thought I deserved to be loved. I started hating myself. And after that, after class 12, I decided, maybe we should do things differently. I'll let myself be whoever I want to be. What was pretty embarrassing is the rap that I did after.
Oh, you did a rap? Do you rap?
No, I thought maybe this night should be special, something.
No holds barred.
Yeah.
Like, you have to accept me, like, fully. It's just not parts of me you should accept. Is that what you did that night?
So I just...
So it's been good so far at CST? I mean, with your friends and your college mates, it's been a better experience, would you say?
Well, I think it's the year, they seem more mature, they seem more accepting, and maybe it's because we are educated and there is more information about this, that they are more accepting. They now know that it wasn't just a phase, and this is the part of me that is here to stay. And yeah, I think it was okay in CST. Oh, I have been a part of White Peer, which is, basically we have to sensitize about these topics. We constantly touch on these topics. And I think I felt welcomed and belonged. They were really accepting friends, awesome group of people I have met in my life, and the most horrible too, but I don't want to fill my life with things that I hate. I want to focus on the things that I love and the people who supported me more, because it wasn't a good place to be in high school and my middle school, when I had so much and I couldn't pour out. It was so difficult. It was suffocating. I don't know if it was depression or suicidal or it was sadness, but it was something beyond that. It was constant suffocation. And I'm finally glad that I got a breather out.
You're amazing for having
you.
survived that, because I don't think many of us could, to have your parents decide on living their lives that in a way excludes you, right? And then that whole familial setup, no? And then to be out on your own, almost fed to a pack of wolves, your experience in high school, right? Like you were saying, like they were taunting you and teasing you and making fun of you every day for something that's not even your fault, right? Like it's who you are. It's it's like who I am, right? And then people were chastising you for that, and that's not okay. And I don't think many people would have survived that. And then from what I hear, you were saying you were your most able supporter, right? The inner voice that was there inside you was the one that guided you to keep moving on to the next day, right?
Yeah.
And then you were saying that you had like a supportive group of friends as well. So besides that, were there other things that kept you going? I mean, it's so amazing that you were your biggest support system, because people take their whole lives to find that support system, right?
Yeah.
To listen to yourself and to be there for yourself. And you've done that at such a young age, and that's incredible. But how, like, what
thank
keeps
you.
you going still? I mean, like, who are the other people in your life that's helped you accept who you are and celebrate who you are?
Well, I think most of my life like revolves around my mom, because I like to believe that we are really similar, and everywhere I go, I'm usually like, this is Isha's son, and then Isha's boo, and we are quite similar in our ideologies. And I like to believe that she didn't leave me, but she went ahead and led the way for me, because she taught me to be passionate about what I did. And I like to share you an incident that happened. It was an ordinary day. Me and my uncle, we were getting ready, because the next day I was set to move to the 4th National YPR meet, and unfortunately we got a call, and it was my dad's brother's daughter who had come to Thimphu to start a new life. I remember she was full of hope, and she was so excited to start a life, but then she had this history of, there was wounds in her stomach, and it was acting up, and I think this was the climax where she ended up in the hospital. They were in the emergency case, and because my uncle is a doctor, we got the call and we reached there first. I just saw her on the hospital bed, and it was the machine that was keeping her here, but you could see that she's neither gone nor here with us. And everyone was crying, but I didn't cry, because I didn't know what to do. I was so shocked. I didn't know if I was sad, if I was, I just didn't know what to do back then. So after that, Dad came, and it's the phase after when we didn't talk for a while, and he left me to be my own. And I remember him not even looking at my direction, as if I didn't exist. And same with the stepmom, I think. And I like to believe that maybe they were too hurt, and that's why I just didn't. I did try to contact him, but then he didn't pick up my calls, and I believe that after everything that he has been through too, because he has supported me and my mom, I believe that he should also deserve a life and a family that he wants. So I've stopped calling him, and I just wanted him to be himself. After that incident, I just not only, how people, when they're about to die, their whole life flashes. But this was quite different. Someone had died, and I saw my whole life flash before me. And I didn't want to live, I had a really short life. And there's a voice inside me that told me, you're going to be next soon. Maybe 5 years later, but you will die soon. Yeah, you have this short life, and I don't want to live this life a lie. So what I did was, I couldn't help with the funeral. There was no way I could help. So Uncle and me, we best decided that I should go to the national YPA meet that was scheduled tomorrow. And we went down there, and what I did was I came out there to everyone again. And it's quite supportive. We won, actually.
Oh, wow.
We were the network that won, CST network. And the poster, it got second. And I was so proud of myself.
What was the poster?
It was actually about my life. It was me using the LGBT flag as a cape, Superman cape. And it was right there.
Oh, wow. You know what? I just, every time I hear, I'm amazed by how resilient you are. It's amazing. Like, I don't think I have heard, there were so many points in your life where you could have just given up. right?
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you must have thought about it, like you were saying, you had some really dark, difficult days.
Yeah.
And then for you to have come out of all of that and then to realize your life is so short and there's something, you have to live it authentically, right?
Yeah.
Authentic to yourself. What is it now that you want to do with your life? Like, what is it you want to be?
Well, that's a question that I ask myself constantly. And since I was 20, I woke up at the middle of the night and I was like, oh my God, you're 20 now. And it was, even though the high school experience was quite hectic and I already felt so like old enough, because the hardships, they felt like they were never going away.
Right.
And I felt like it had been years and years since I was in that place.
Right.
Well, now that I'm 20, I ask myself, what do you want to do actually?
Right.
There are a lot of people who are like, I don't know what I'll become, but maybe I'll wait it out and I'll see what I'll become. But now that I was 20, I thought I should see my life becoming. So, well, for that, I wanted to do what I loved most. So rather than the professional life that I will have after CST, graduating, I was passionate. Okay, first thing is I need to be really, I need to have this group of people who supported me and loved me. My uncle, my aunt, my grandpa, grandma. And if dad and we reconcile soon, I would surely include him in our list. I just want to give them the world because they had given to mine and they had made me feel so loved and supported, even though I didn't have my father and mother quite close to me. They had been really supportive. I want to make them a priority first. Other than that, I had 3 important things that I was passionate about. First was being myself. But now that I am myself every time, it was a phase in my life after college. After the first year, I was kind of chubby. I like to call myself, I was fat back then. And I had this, how being gay is, it could be happy, but then I wasn't happy even though I had come out so many times.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, it may be the physical experience, maybe because I'm fat and maybe people don't like me. Maybe I'm looking at it in a wrong way. Maybe what if it was the social media that was hampering? What if I was thinking too much about what people thought about me and how I looked? So what I did was I blocked all my social accounts.
That's why you're not on social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
So recently I opened up, but in that phase, I tried to see what was happening, and I still had this heaviness. I felt bad about myself. The knees were hurting, and I have this history of migraines. Yeah,
Okay.
it was quite hectic back then. Well, I started, maybe now that we had blocked the social aspect, maybe it's the physical baggage that I had. So I started on a good diet this time. I started exercising, and I can safely say that I have lost weight, but then I haven't weighed. I do not plan on weighing.
I don't think you need to get on the scale. I think if you feel good and you look in the mirror and you feel good about yourself, that's the best.
Yes. I thought to myself, okay, you came out gay. You don't necessarily have to invite problems. You can stay in solitude. People don't have to know you, because I wasn't planning on marrying. And that was the thing that I had, and I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should stay in solitude. But then I contacted my other LGBT friends. We messaged, and they told me their stories. They told me how they were bullied, how they were sexually harassed, and how difficult, how it was quite, the feeling was quite sad, because they told me they were quite afraid to tell the parents, the people they loved so much. They were telling me they are afraid to lose them. So maybe they will just cut this part of their life out of themselves and just, roll with life. They just said, they don't want to lose their loved ones because of this. And even though that past was behind me, all the high school experience, when I read those and those were so relatable to me. And I could feel that, those tears choking me up again, and I could feel that it was not gone. And this was going to be somebody's problem now, and I don't want another kid to go through that. So coming to this interview is more than coming out, because I had already done my coming out. It's about those people who are facing the same difficulties, because I don't want any kid to go through what I have been through. It may come off to, this story may be like how I lived, but then it's like a story how I survived. And it's kind of scary, because sometimes I wonder what if I didn't? What if I just gave up and I don't know where I would have ended up. So I am breaking my silence. I am coming on social media. I have my 2 pages where I write about this. I want to reach out to more people. I don't want another kid feeling that again, and I had to make sure that I needed to make society a warm place, like a mother's hug for us, accepting love for everyone. I just want to make a world better in my own way. I need to try. I need to do everything I can.
You're such a beautiful, positive soul. I feel like, no, I'm so proud of you. Seriously, like even when you're talking and sharing your story, I just think, how, after having gone through, there's a quote I remember. I can't attribute it to anyone at this point, but it's something that I find on social media, how it's the people who have suffered the most that have the most to give. And I think it's true in your case. And I'm so proud of you, and I can only wish you good luck with that. But I want to ask you one final thing, because you're such a bright, such a well-connected, such a thoughtful young man. I want to ask you what your view is on the discussion that's happening in Parliament about repealing 2 clauses 213 and 214, right? I've been such a loud advocate for that it must be repealed, because I feel like it makes people who are in the LGBTI community like second-class citizens, right? There's always a rule hanging over your head about who you should be and what you do. Like, is that unnatural, right? That's the word that they use in that. What are your views on that?
Well, actually 213 and 214 basically says that if you are, however, involved in the sexual misconduct of unnatural sex, you are liable for, you're punishable by the law. Well, I think being a GNH nation, and a country that's based on GNH values, we are more focused on taking the nation and its people together. Well, I think it would be unjust and a failure on the part of its principles if there are minority of people who are left behind. I think this law, what it does is discriminates them, and
too. Yeah.
I think we should move together in this prospect. And if you look at I did some research on the unnatural sex, and what it was basically, it was a sexual misconduct. It is a religious term for a sexual misconduct between. It can also be between 2 people who weren't married.
Right.
It can be also for a sexual conduct that happened that didn't lead to procreation, and it can be also between the same gender. So we were done with having, coitus, before marriage. I think we did away. We are also done, you can have sex not necessarily to procreate, have children. Having children is your decision, actually, basically. And now we are with the same gender. So I think we have to talk on the so gay part too.
Okay.
Do you know how the gay in the dictionary was like homosexual, but then I also found the word happy there. That means being homosexual should be making you happy, being the person that you are. Well, during that phase, I wasn't quite happy, even though I had come out. So for me, the definition means so much more. It's accepting the person that you are as a whole, everything, your appearance, the personality, even your orientation, it doesn't matter. You have to love yourself. You deserve to love yourself and be loved by everyone. And it's quite often it's quite ironic how people judge you for being gay, because being gay is just 10% of who you are. I believe that. Because, I'm even though I have come out gay, I am not like 24/7, oh, boys this, boys that. Did you see that, boys?
Like me being straight, I'm like, being straight is like, just like you said, 10% of who I am. Like, being straight and hetero isn't what Namgizam is about, right?
Yeah.
It's about what I care about and what I do. Like, the exact same thing for you, but I don't get, like, exactly like what you're saying. I don't get why when people come out and then express their sexual orientations, that people are like, oh, he's gay and then he's this, right? Or she's lesbian and then she's this, right?
Yeah.
And you want to be more than that.
Yeah. So if you hate the person, hate the whole person, for who he is, not just the 10%.
And then make it all, right?
It's basically like judging a book by its cover. I mean, that's a really old cliche.
No, but that's what everybody does, I think, right? We are all guilty in some way or another. But is there anything else that you would like to share? Maybe with people who are watching us and watching this interview?
Well, what I wanted to share is, how people there are people who tell you that they don't understand this. But to us, it does seem offending that, it seems like, okay, I won't understand you, I don't want to understand you. But then looking at my uncle's position, I was like, okay, what if it is true? What if they don't understand this? It's not like they have these emotions. So I thought maybe we should keep it really simple, being LGBT. I know there are terms such as homosexual, lesbian, gay, transgender. We also get confused at sometimes.
True.
Well, what I believe is LGBT is about these 3 important points. The first point is you have to be yourself. You can be whoever you want to be, unless if it makes you happy, you be that person. Second, you can love whoever you want to. If there's a genuineness in your emotions, then you can love whoever you want to. 3, you deserve to be loved for who you are, and everyone deserves that. Well, with these 3, I would also want to tell people, the concept of the LGBT may seem confusing, may not relate to you. It may not relate to you until your loved one has, they identify as different, or you start to identify as different.
Right.
So if you identify as different, maybe we can bring in these terminologies to explain to you, and maybe you will feel belonged. But I think one of the most important thing that came up was, what if someone came out to you? What would you say? Well, what I would normally say, and how it goes is, I'm so proud of you, and I'm really flattered, and I'm really touched that you thought it was necessary for my approval to make you happy, for you to feel accepted. And because you identify as different, I will not love you any less. And I wish you all the happiness and love in the world. And I, just want us to be us. Even if you're gay, it doesn't change the relationship that we have. I think that's about
beautiful.
it.
I think you summed it up pretty well. I think we all just want to be loved for who we are, whether we are queer, whether we are straight, right? Like, I want to be loved for who I am, right? It's not easy to be judged for who you are. So I hope that after watching this interview, and especially the other interviews on Queer Talks, our conversation on Queer Talks Bhutan, that you will feel, or you will find it within yourself. I think all of us are born with compassion. All of us are born with the ability to try and understand somebody who's different from us. And I think Bhutanese do it especially well, that we will be able to accept everybody in Bhutan. Doesn't matter what color we like or what our preferences are, that we can all love each other at the end of the day. So I want to thank you for sharing your story from the bottom of my heart. And before we end, we actually have a little token of appreciation for you from Queer Voices of Bhutan. So thank you, Tenzin Yoezer. And I want to show you that we have a little pouch, and there's like 2 badges inside. Love is love, I think. We also have this Queer Voices Bhutan cup for you, and there's a flag and masks and sanitizer because we're in a pandemic. I hope that people see you. I mean, I am seeing you for all that you are, instead of just your sexual orientation, right? Now, when I think of you, like, I think people call you Yoezer and not Tenzin, right? So when I think of Yoezer, I'm going to think about how articulate you are. And I think the takeaway for me is how resilient you are. I very rarely meet people who are so resilient and who are so optimistic and find I think your disposition is so positive, you know, you seem to find the silver lining in everything, and I'm just so full of admiration for you for that, you know, and for being, I don't want to sound condescending, but I mean, you really are young, but then to have all of that, I think you have so much to give to the world, and I really want you to stay and keep giving to the world. Will you promise to do that?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yoezer.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's such a pleasure to talk to you and then to get to know you. I'm so inspired by you.